Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. Can you believe it? Me and Benji are in the same room.
Mental.
As you can see, I've got a big old smile on my face, and any Punjab will know why. Yeah, no, it's a good feeling right now. But today we're going to talk about Mumbai versus Delhi and Punjab versus RCB. Again, very quick. It'll be who are the heroes, villains, what have we learned?
So, shall I take this one to the you guys and talk about the games?
Yes, go for it.
So we'll skip through DC Mumbai very quickly. Delhi came out on top. They won the toss and elected to chase. So they put Mumbai into bat. Mumbai put up a decent score. Rohit Sharma looked really on form, scoring 41, striking at 120. The real hero of that game, though, was Ishan Kishan, who came out and played a fine knock of 81. Not out, 11 fours, 2 sixes was a pretty decent knock. Didn't see much from the rest of the Mumbai team, really. Tilak Verma played a little bit of a cameo later on. Not a lot from Karen Pollard. Tim David only faced 8 balls, but scored 12, so striking at 150. So he was okay, as I sort of predicted he would. And then Daniel Sams faced 2 balls and hit his last ball for 6, I think. So decent start from Sadal Thakur, bowling as well. Went a bit more expensive than you want him to be, but all in all, he was quite tidy. In terms of the Delhi wickets, most of it went to Kuldeep Yadav, who took 3 wickets for 18. So decent performance from him.
I actually called it about Kuldeep as well.
You did, yeah.
He was my my one to watch in our Delhi video.
Yeah, Delhi struggled. Rishabh Pant didn't really fire, neither did Mandeep Singh. The thing was, though, Delhi only played 2 overseas players because that's all they had available. So they were only playing Tim Seifer and Rovman Powell. So we'd expect to see a stronger Delhi in the coming games once we get David Warner back in, Imran Norkir back in, because they do have a high class team. Akshar Patel actually played a finisher's role, scoring a 38 off 17. So cracking knock from Akshar and Lalit Yadav to get them over the edge. So yeah, all in all, it was quite a good game. The villain from the Mumbai side was definitely Jasprit Bumrah and Daniel Sams opening the bowling, who were pretty poor, really. Jasprit going at 12.9 and over, which you don't expect. But yeah, if you had Ishan Kishan in your fantasy team, well done. That's a lot of points. That was Mumbai versus Delhi. Zac, do you want to talk about RCB's performance a bit? Or do you want to comment on Mumbai first?
Yeah, I kind of have something to add to the Mumbai thing, because I think it shows the power in chasing, and we'll see that when we come to talk about the RCB and Punjab game. Because when I was watching the Mumbai game, I was thinking that at the 15 over mark, I was like, they've got Karen Pollard to come, they've got Tim David to come, Daniel Sams can tonk it a bit. They're looking at a massive score. And they ended up with something quite average. And then you look at the Delhi innings, and by the 15th over, you think they're completely out of it. Murugan Ashwin and Basil Tampi have bowled really well. They've restricted them. They're just going to peter off. And then Akshar Patel and Lalit Yadav out of nowhere win the game for them and are smacking 6s against Jasprit Bumrah. And I think if you'd switched it round, if you'd put Mumbai in Delhi's position and were chasing, they'd probably have a very good end to their innings. And likewise, if you put Delhi batting first, they probably would have petered out and ended up with a rather average score. So I think that chasing mindset definitely influences what happens in the final stages of an innings. And we definitely saw that with Royal Challengers Punjab. Let's go to you, James, first. What are your thoughts? Because obviously you're very happy right now.
Yeah. So of the 3 of us, I'm pretty much the only one that's actually happy, which is a good feeling. So yeah, big shout out to our Punjab squad as well. Say hi in the comments, of course. You're just jealous.
I am. I wasn't friends.
But yeah, no, it was a pretty good display from the Punjab openers, I thought. But before we get to that, because Punjab were in the second innings, I want to talk about RCB a little bit first. So absolute hero was Faf du Plessis with the captain's knock. I thought Faf as a captain, Faf as a batsman was absolutely brilliant because he started off playing some insane test innings. He was batting at a strike rate of like 50 for I think his first 20 or 30 balls. Like it was really, really slow, and then he did Faf things and caught right up. And
it's how he plays his innings, though. That's what he did for Chennai. He started slow, anchored the innings while someone like Shane Watson teed off, and then cashing it at the end. It's a very Faf inning. So yeah, that's what you'd expect.
I liked your Indian talent, Zac, with Anuj Rawat. He looked good. He got bogged down a bit, and then he got himself out. I think in just trying to hit too hard when Rahul Chahar came on. Rahul Chahar, pretty much the only bowler that did well. I thought he bowled really well. I thought Arshdeep showed real glimmers of like talent. And then I didn't think Odean Smith bowled well at all. I potentially don't think he was utilised well. And then, so I want to ask you, Zac, what you think about the captaincy of both sides? Because obviously you are an esteemed captain yourself. I would like to know what you thought of Faf and Agarwal, because obviously two new captains to the IPL.
I think Mayank Agarwal is an interesting one because he when he started in the IPL, he was mostly with the Royal Challengers Bangalore and kind of was there at the start of the Kohli captaincy era. And he's got kind of that stern side about him when he can get quite fired up and angry, but at the same time he seems quite chilled. It's a weird mix that he's got going on there,
right? Yeah.
But so I think he's obviously going to learn a lot. He's kind of in a similar bit with Jadeja, where Jadeja is starting out with captaincy, Agarwal's starting out with captaincy. That they'll obviously have to learn the ropes, whereas when you compare that with someone like Faf du Plessis, who is a very experienced captain, he knows what he's doing. And I guess with the Punjab Kings, I don't really have many experienced players in that lineup other than maybe Shikhar Dhawan in terms of having any form of captaincy experience. So it will be interesting to see how that develops in the tournament. I thought Royal Challengers have some very clever, experienced players, especially three of the top four today: Faf du Plessis, Virat Kohli, Dinesh Karthik, and they work the ball around the field very well. And it's hard for someone like Agarwal who's inexperienced to set fields for those players, and that's probably why Royal Challengers got to the score they did. Some very skillful full batting against an inexperienced captain. But when you flip that around and you take it to du Plessis, captain for Royal Challengers, I would say that it was more the execution of the Royal Challengers bowlers. Punjab bowled their fair share of wides. They bowled 12 wides. We bowled 21 wides. Siraj in particular, he bowled 9 dot balls, right? Which is a very good amount of dot balls to bowl in a 2020 match. And yet he still went for 59 runs, which meant that the 15 balls that weren't dot balls went for 59 runs, which is ridiculous, isn't it? That's like you going for a 4 every other ball. So I think his execution was completely off and is one of the main reasons why we lost that game. We also didn't take the catch at the end to remove Odean Smith. But I guess Odean Smith could have had Faf du Plessis very early on in Faf's innings. However, Royal Challengers still had a lot of batting to come, which they didn't end up utilising. So I think it's fine margins. That's what T20 cricket is. It's a game of fine margins. And when you get it a little bit wrong, the batsmen will cash in because they're very skillful nowadays. They know how to smack it ridiculous places and ridiculously far. So yeah.
I do want to pick up on Siraj's bowling a little bit as well, because I think he is probably the villain of the RCB team, I would say. Siraj, because he didn't, as you say, the think tank of Faf, Virat, and DK had and to an extent David Willey too had set this field, had set this plan. It was a very offside heavy field where he wanted to be bowling wide Yorkers outside off in those death overs to keep scoring to a minimum, so that Shahrukh Khan and Odin Smith couldn't just take a step over to the off stump and tonk it over cow corner. And that was the side of the short boundary. Now we'll talk about the short boundary in just a sec, because it was a very short boundary, I thought. But Suraj would then bowl quite a leg side line, like almost tailing in at the stumps, and then it would swing or seam a bit, and fine leg was up, and then it would run away, and they'd be able to get runs of it where actually those runs shouldn't be scored ever. So I think he was almost taking it into his own hands and bowling against the plan of the field, which was the issue. And actually, if it had just stuck to that plan, maybe a bit of frustration there, possibly in that setup. I think just quickly before we sort of wrap things up, talking about fancy and whatever, this ground had quite a short boundary on one side. Like the offside boundary was about, well, there were sixes that were going for under 70 meters. What do we think about that?
I'd say I'm not a fan.
It worked all right.
And even though it works for us, I think one of Odin Smith's sixes, I think it might have been like a top edge for 69 meters or something. There are a couple of the RCB innings as well, and I think in general it's not that good for the game if you're getting rewarded heavily, 6 runs for like top edges and things. And that was something I didn't like about the Abu Dhabi T10 league, was you just consistently get top edges going for sixes because you've got 65-meter boundaries. My personal opinion, I think you should have a 75-meter boundary at a minimum, really, just because like any of us could hit a 75-meter 6. And
we'd have to middle it though.
We'd have to middle it. Only just. Let's be absolutely real. But like, but professionals, I don't think a professional should be rewarded with a 6 for top edging it 69 meters or 65 meters. It's like that. That's not good enough. But comment below. Comment below. What do you think?
Agree? Do you think we're wrong? Tell us that we're wrong.
I think just off that, Akash Deep on debut, he went at 12.6 and over. I thought he bowled really well, and I think it was the second time Rajapaksa, try to say his name right, hit a top edge 6 for under 65 meters against Akash Deep. I was like, come on, this guy is on debut. He's trying his hard out. He's bowling really well, and he's not getting rewarded for it. And it was a bit frustrating, but that's the game. It happened. Both teams had to bat. I guess Royal Challengers had to bowl with the dew, but they lost the toss.
What we've learned from these sides is kind of what we said in the preview, was if Royal Challengers top order can fire, they can do really well. Because I mean, they got 205. That's amazing. And like, when they took it deep, they I think they were 200 or they were 100 and a lot for like 2 maybe in the 16th, 17th over, exactly where they want to be, because they bat that long, they bat quite deep with people that can hit 6s. So they were absolutely perfect in that batting innings. And I'd say what we learned from Punjab was we bat a bit deep as well. Like Odin Smith is a better batsman than I thought he was. I sort of saw him as a bit of a meathead swinger bat, and he is, but he does it well. So what else do you need? And Rajapaksa really surprised me. But for the couple of games before we managed to get Bairstow in, I think I would love for us to have a really awkward decision to make with our overseas. That's a great position to be in. And Rajapaksa really showed himself to be good.
I think we'll see as the tournament goes on, like actually what's the past score on these grounds as well, because after all, there's only been one game played at each ground. Like one at the Wangahidi was quite low scoring. I can't remember the one. One at the DY one that was today for the Punjab game, very high scoring with small boundaries, and was a bit medium at the other ground. So we'll see how that develops. Because a different dimension of the IPL being played at only a few stadiums. Just one comment then before we finish. I'm absolutely gutted for poor Raj Bauer. On his debut, comes in, faces Mohamed Siraj, who actually is a bit of a rank full toss, wasn't it really? But he triggered over, and so my heart goes out to poor Raj Bauer, who was my shout for the emerging player.
I was
maybe
watching
it's a bit too early for it.
I was watching it with Benji, and as Raj Bauer comes in, Benji's like, "Oh yes, Raj Bauer, he's my pick. He's going to do really well." Comes in, first ball duck. I was like,
commentator's curse.
Yeah. That is very much conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot to comment about. So we expect a lot of comments from you guys. Let us know, what do you think about the games? What have we learned? Also, let us know what time is best for us to release these, because we've been releasing them sort of after the game's English time, but we realize that might be like midnight in India or whatever. So we can release it the next day a bit early English time, which is about midday in India. So just let us know, and don't forget to subscribe. We're a growing, thriving community of cricket nerds. Don't forget to like and follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod.
Join the fantasy game.
Yeah, join the fantasy league.
Shout out to Dad's Barmy, who has now taken the #1 spot. Although having Faf du Plessis as your captain would definitely have helped with that. Although I can see Tim Southey, Lungi and Geedy and Rabada in that team, all of which who aren't playing. So there you go. Dad's Barmy might only take the spot for a couple of days. But that's it, I think.
Yeah, we'll see you guys
tomorrow
on the Flippity Flip.
Yes.